Okay, so question B. Explain two functions of the cardiovascular system that enable a long-distance cyclist to perform well. So cardiovascular system, only the heart. Okay, that's really, really important that we're focused on the heart. So the first function is to transport oxygen. So the blood, one of the key things in it, blood transports oxygen around the body so the cyclist can work aerobically because they need to keep working over long periods of time. So we've got 3 points here: transport oxygen so they can work aerobically, so they will not need to reduce their pace. They won't have to slow down across the race. 3 marks available for that first point. That's the first function. So one of the functions is to transport nutrients, for example, or oxygen around the body. Number 2, you can go with a similar style point, but this time with nutrients. This time, transporting nutrients around the body helps us to create energy, which will then fuel the muscles to keep them working over the whole race. I think a number of us missed this final point. Applying it back, they've literally put about performing well. We've got to talk about their performance. So not that you can keep cycling till the very end, just keep cycling. You've got to cycle well to the very end. So you've got to be able to keep up with everybody. You've got to be able to overtake people, etc., etc. So keep performing well in their event. So that's B. Generally not great on that one. Something you might need to recap when looking at the functions for those who missed it completely. And those that did, I think our explanations were something that we need to look at about how we break down a point into 3 key marks. So question 8. Easy one, especially now we've just looked to recover this topic, but it's the easiest question I think I've ever seen on lever systems. I wish they were all like this. So we've got lever systems are made up of 4 parts, one of these being the lever. So remember, FLE, 1, 2, 3. They're the important parts when we look at lever systems. So it says just state the other parts of the lever system. And if you can remember FLE, you literally remember the 3 other parts: the fulcrum, the load, and the effort. Some of us got that, some of us didn't. Some of us missed that lesson, and that's, you can tell that when you're going through it. So when we talked about advantage and disadvantage, they're literally reverse of each other. So if I'm talking through the answer to this one for the disadvantage, you can reverse the wording and create the advantage. So a large effort is applied to move a relatively small load. So that's disadvantage. So replace it. A small effort is applied to move a relatively large load. So that's a mechanical advantage and disadvantage. They're literally opposites of each other. The question's only looking at disadvantages because the load arm is longer than the effort arm, and that's the important part. Okay, so that's just explaining why. So you've said what it does, and then you've said why it does it. So that's where the 2 marks come. That would be helpful, I think, when we go through those topics in a bit more detail, understanding mechanical disadvantage and advantage. When you think about it, when you're on your toes, tiny little bones with not a lot of muscle, can lift the whole weight of your whole body up onto your toes, and you can stand there for quite a few seconds, some minutes, etc., etc. That's a mechanical advantage where a little bit of effort's needed to lift a heavy load. Whereas when you use your bicep and you try and lift something heavy up off the ground, it's quite difficult. Even if you put your whole body weight into just your arms, so you're using your bicep to lift it up, that's a mechanical disadvantage. That joint is not a positive, it's a 3rd class. All 3rd classes are disadvantages. Most of the body is 3rd class lever systems. But yeah, if you try and do it in your elbow, for example, and lift something up, you can nowhere near lift up on a bicep curl, anywhere near your body weight. So it's a disadvantage on that one. Okay.